The funniest one at Alamo Heights was we used to do this thing called a fun run.
Yeah.
And essentially because Alamo Heights is in a suburban neighborhood of very nice houses, so you can run on the streets there. So during fourth period, Charlie Bogus would make us go out and run. And so you'd run down Broadway, or I forget what it was. It might have been Primrose, back up, and like every residential street all the way down. You had to run all the way down to like Nacogdoches and back. And so when we were freshmen, Andrew Brewer would make us do the same thing, and a couple of kids, I remember it was Caleb Thatcher for sure. I can't remember. I think it might have been Callie Valencia as well. They called, this is like pre-iPhone or like beginning of iPhone. They called a taxi. And so like they like ran like one street, got back up, called a taxi, had him drive him around, and then pull up right next to like where the running was ending. When people were starting to come by, they let like 5 people come by, and they got out of the taxi and ran back in.
That's the most Alamo Heights thing I've ever heard. At MacArthur, we can't afford that, okay?
Sorry,
yeah, it's like, that's a mommy and daddy's credit card. Like, hey, I'm going to take a... And then you get home later today, and they're like, you took a fucking yellow cab somewhere? Like pre-Uber days? Like, yeah, it was just around the buck, $20 round the buck, so you didn't have to run in basketball.
I mean,
God,
and that was
actually
freshman year, really too, so it was a shorter run. Like, it was not... Yeah, no, that was pretty funny. I remember that. I remember being so mad because I was like... I had finished second and run like so hard, and I wasn't calling a taxi, and then they finished like right after me and did nothing.
That is actually really funny. And since we're talking about athletics and athletic achievements, I just want to let everybody know you're looking at some serious hardware right here. Okay.
What is it?
This weekend in Bernie, there's a little special event called DOS Festival. Shout out DOS Festival. Shout out Random Beer Garden. They're gonna be our business of the week.
There you go.
Put on, there used to be a thing called Burgess Fest in Bernie, so they're like, anyway, bringing it back. All kinds of games. Now, you know me. I'm not an excuse guy. But I got second in the egg toss, which is, pretty outstanding. 25 teams. We're not talking 6, 7 teams. We're talking 25 teams. And I did it with my sister-in-law as my partner. So I had a woman on my team. The team that won were 2 males, okay? Just I'm not an excuse guy, and I threw her a perfect egg toss. She knows it. Misty, shout out Misty at home. Perfect egg toss, right in the hand. Got all over. She decided to wear a purse during the thing, which me and my brother told her was a bad idea. Whatever. She doesn't listen to us.
This is Jeremiah's wife, right?
Jeremiah's wife. And Jeremiah, by the way, busted out like he went into a throw off so there's 5 teams left. And dude, at this point, we're like 30 yards away. I'm telling you, it is a long egg toss. And 2 of my nieces, Mahaley and Inslee, are here. Maya and the boat, Maddie, are on the other side of me. And all the other team's eggs break, so they had to go for a throw-off for third. But Jeremiah couldn't come home with a medal. I told him he hasn't won much in life. I told him he could have this if he really wanted it.
How nice of you.
But, ended up with second place. And like I said, not an excuse guy. But if me and Jeremiah were on the same team, I like to think we get the egg toss done. All kinds of other fun events like watermelon eating contest, wheelbarrow race, sack race, lots of drinks, a lot of family fun. Shout out DOS Festival. Jeremiah lost his mind on the boat in the wheelbarrow race. You're blindfolded, and you have to run around with the wheelbarrow, and the kid's supposed to give you instructions. And he told Maddie very specifically on Father's Day, hey, just don't say anything because I have the steps measured out. And Maddie, 2 seconds into the race, just starts yelling left. And it was the wrong left. She meant to go right. So Jeremiah's in the stands, and he lost his mind in front of 500 people. We can get his end of the story when he's on here soon. But
I'm looking forward to that.
Pretty funny. Good old fashioned family fun. But yeah, this is for you. This is for you little people at home that never won anything.
There you go.
Second place egg toss medal.
I mean, I got a call yesterday about this. He was excited, I have to say. Turner was very excited that they won second. Was looking forward to showing it on the podcast.
I would have. Anyway, I would have won, but
the woman missed him.
Like I said, not an excuse guy.
Not an excuse, but an excuse.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Fuck. That's impressive. All right. What's the best thing you saw this week, by the way, while we're talking,
best thing
pure
I
sports.
saw this week was obviously me getting second in egg toss. Besides that.
I forgot that was it.
Besides that, though, it was redemption for Johnson Wagner, who's a Golf Channel correspondent. the last major, he went and tried to recreate a chip shot that I think Scheffler hit. He bladed one over the green. He duffed one and then like shanked another one on the 3 shots. And they were losing their minds, laughing at him in the Golf Central deal. And at the U.S. Open, it's like dark. And he's like, I'm going to reenact the shot. And Bryson pulls up and grabs a mic from him, talking him through. He's like, come on, Johnson, you got this to win the U.S. Open. And he hit it to like what Bryson's exact shot in the dark to 1 foot.
Oh, it's the same shot?
Same shot. And they're all going crazy. And Johnson's like, hey, can I hold the trophy? Can I hold it? And Bryson answers to him. He's like, Bryson's like, U.S. Open champion. It was really, really funny. They're going crazy in the studio. And like I said, he needed redemption because he was a professional golfer for a long time.
Yeah.
So he needed redemption after shanking three shots at the last major. So that was a cool thing to see.
Did he win any golf tournaments when
Johnson
he played?
Wagner?
Yeah.
Like 1 or 2.
But not majors.
No, God, no.
He was never that good.
No. He stuck around for probably longer than I was shocked. Like I would see his name at events. I'm like, Johnson Wagner's still playing? He would get like dead last a lot. I think he got the yips and shanks later on in his career. But yeah, good career. Seems like a good guy. Everybody likes him. So Bryson was happy to let him hold the trophy.
Best thing I saw this week. Well, I kind of have 2, but I'll do my main one and then we'll just use the other one as a topic. But best thing I saw this week was I was looking for something last night, and Arizona State head coach Kenny Dillingham, he like came out at practice with 5 supposed copies of NCAA 25 early release, and they had a plank contest for the games. And so the kids were geeking out. They were going absolutely nuts. And some of the assistants were like, if this doesn't get you hyped for NCAA 25, I don't know what will. And so like everybody was going, they were going for like, multiple minutes, and there were guys left and coaches were checking to make sure they stayed up. And so then like, I think they had a couple categories like offensive linemen, skill position, defense, whatever. And so whoever won, Dillingham handed it to him. And I guess he just completely got fake. You got like,
I figured it had to be fake.
Like
There's
fake,
no way. Yeah.
Games. And then he said, open it. And they opened it up, and it was like the movie, like Cinderella or something inside. I was like, damn, that's fucked up. He just completely, they just go like a 5-minute plank.
For Pride Month, you should have given him a copy of Brokeback Mountain and all those. That would have been the ultimate surprise. Congratulations. Here's your prize. Brokeback Mountain.
Dear God. Well, the one I was gonna do,
that's funny though that he fucked with him and did that.
No, it was good.
Like those college kids are too stupid to know that like you're not getting that game a month out. They're out there planking like their life depends.
He walked out with 5 copies of the game. Like, how did he
I only got 5.
But the other thing I was gonna do that I won't use, but I think it's a funny topic, real quick, as we lead into some sports. There was a guy on Twitter I saw tweet this out, and we've seen things like this before plenty of times. I'm sure you have if you're listening, but it was a fantasy football punishment, and it was from like a couple days ago, but he said he was waiting to go do this. I think Bleacher Report picked it up and retweeted it. He had to go to McDonald's for 24 hours. And, you've seen this where it's like, okay, they go to a
Waffle House.
Right, Waffle House, and every waffle you eat takes an hour off, and you have to be there for 24 hours.
Yeah.
But these guys made an entire cheat sheet of each menu item and how many minutes it took off. So every single menu item had a specific amount of, they went to a big extent to do this.
Funny, yeah.
And so, he's like consulting people on what to do. And so I was reading it, and one of the ones I noticed was, McDonald's has those hash brown like sticks. They're like one, if you go to Whataburger, they're like 5 little mini hash browns. You're just talking about
the old school hash browns from McDonald's.
Yeah, they have one. It's one big one.
It's one hash brown. Yeah.
And so that was 25 minutes. And so I was thinking in my head, I was like, okay, I just eat like 53 hash browns because that was the most doable thing on there. And then I saw he tweeted out something like, I'm getting consultation that I should just eat hash browns only. But then I just was alerted that I can only eat up to 17 hash browns, back to the drawing board. And so I was looking at it like, the big breakfast was 120 minutes. That's like 3 hotcakes, a biscuit, eggs, and a sausage patty. That's 120. So I would eat that, probably would go with the 17 hash browns. That would put me at like, I think 9 hours between the two. Each order of medium fries was 30 minutes. This was a tough one. You're going to be there for at least 12 hours, if not longer.
No matter what.
No matter what, because it's just you're just not going to be able to eat that much. You have to definitely go in. Like, I wouldn't eat dinner the night before, or unless they let me start at dinner, I would probably do that. But yeah, it was pretty funny.
That is actually really That's a good one. I think in those punishments too, you got to take it a step further where it's like you can contact loved ones, but you shouldn't be allowed to use the internet when you sit there.
Yeah.
You should just record yourself and be like, no internet. We had someone get out of the neighborhood one in my other brother, Trey's neighborhood. You're supposed to. It's great. Everybody's done it so far, but the guy who lost this year didn't want to do it, won't name names. And his punishment, I think he's getting off real easy. He's got to eat a crazy, I know they're hot, but like a crazy hot wing from and we're not talking about like the sauces you get online that'll like kill you. We're talking about like the fire sauce from Buffalo Wild Wings. Like I know they're hot, but it's like he's going to make it like every other round he has to eat that. But typically you have to do a lemonade stand in the front of the neighborhood in a dress and you have to get a certain amount of money. And it's great. I mean, like this year, dude, when I was in the toilet bowl in that league, I told you, it's like, God, I hope I'm not dead
I remember
last,
that you were really hoping.
Everybody would really, really have loved to just bash on me for fucking 3 hours in the front of the neighborhood out there.
Because it was somewhat of a keeper league, right? And you kind of got stuck with a guy already.
Well, yeah, I kind of got screwed where you have one keeper and the only guy I could keep on my roster was basically Travis Kelce, and it would be for a first. But then this league you didn't have to have a tight end in this league. So anyway, I started with a bad roster. I also drafted, this is going to blow you guys away at home, really drunk. It was a 7 p.m. draft on a Friday night, which I said if I could change one thing about the league, it'd be a 10 a.m. draft Saturday morning.
Oh, because you have to be sober.
Yes, exactly. I said win the league.
I don't know if you'd be completely sober, but close to it.
But yeah, and they put me at a disadvantage doing these. They know what they're doing. Friday night,
Smart.
Saturday night late. Yeah. The guys that don't drink are like, oh, this is easy money right here. And you get half of us showing up from what used to be Conroy's there, and now it's the Roost. But yeah, so fantasy football punishments are great.
Carl's league, when he was in college, was a punishment league. So what they would do is whoever got first had no punishment. And so say there was 10 people in the league, there were 9 punishments. And so whoever got second got to pick their punishment, and then third picked from the remaining 8, and so forth all the way down. So whoever was last got stuck with the worst one.
Oh, so
everybody who didn't win had a punishment.
Okay, so everybody that didn't get first has
right.
to, but some of them are probably not bad at all.
Exactly. So if you get second, third, fourth, you don't have that bad of a punishment. But if you're 8th or 7th, you kind of get stuck with a real bad one. It just brought up a question of like I was curious, like if you could think of any other ones, what's the funniest, worst, or best fantasy football punishment you've seen? Let us know in the comments below what the best one you've seen is. I was gonna say, obviously there's some obvious ones like the Waffle House one where you eat a waffle every hour. We talked about that. Tattoo or nipple piercing of if you lose.
Fuck that. I don't even think I would agree to that one.
That's the only one where I probably wouldn't agree. I've seen the Buffalo Wild Wing ones where you have to eat, 10 of the hottest wings there. I did see another one that was really funny on a Reddit post last night, and of course it triggered some people to be like, "Oh my God, how dare you? Please don't do this one." But it was you have to go to church with a blow-up sex doll and sit next to her the entire mass.
Oh my gosh!
And sit there the entire mass, and when you stand up, you have to hold her up. Actually, they didn't even say blow-up sex doll because they have some very advanced sex dolls nowadays. It would actually be a lot funnier if you had to dress a real one up.
That's awful.
That would be a silicone one.
Oh my gosh! It's a family-friendly show. My God. Oh my Lord.
Do you have any that you've seen?
The other funny one that I think when you go back to piercings, that one's horrible but hilarious, is the I would think, because if you got a piercing right here, I know that like once it's not in there, it closes up like just a normal piercing. Yeah. I think I want to add to the punishment that you have to get a gold cross Barry Bonds earring that you have to wear for a month.
I like that.
That was Ryan Whitney's punishment against Biz last year, where he's like, I hate that earring. And Biz is like, yeah, you got to wear it for a month.
I like that. No, that makes it fair.
That would be a funny one. Also going back to the neighborhood one. So you had to do the lemonade stand. And then
that's a good one.
The guy was a good sport, though. Also with it, there's a double punishment. Your everyday driver that you're in, you have to put a pink license plate cover on it with unicorns that says "I suck at fantasy football," and you have to drive that for the whole year. So that's pretty.
So that's all he did. He didn't do the lemonade stand. He just put.
No, he's doing the wings thing or whatever.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. But I think
that was nice of y'all to let him go. I would have been.
I think that's getting off easy. There were some people that weren't happy about it because like everybody else is like, yeah, well, the rule is that you can take pictures of like the people at the front of the neighborhood, but you can't like post it all over social media.
Right.
Like, you can keep it, but so that's why I was like, man, you could do it. Like, what does it matter if?
Yeah.
Well,
don't be in the league if you're not willing to do it.
That was an argument from a lot of people too.
I'm just saying, if it were my league, I would probably kick the person out. I'm not saying saying y'all should have, but I'm just saying I probably would have. Now that said, it's hard to say because like if it was somebody like you and you were like, no, I'm not doing it, I wouldn't kick you out of the league. So I can't say that I would. But
yeah, but you would know that like if everybody agreed to it at the beginning, I would do it. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
I know. That's what I'm saying. I agree. Yes.
But yeah.
The only other funny one I saw, and we'll move on, was we had to go perform at an open mic night at a comedy club while the rest of the league gets to watch and heckle you.
I think they did that on Part of My Take did that to Hank. I think he had to go up there and do it for getting like dead last and something, and they would just heckle him, and he was horrible. Like they brought people to the show that thought Hank actually did it for like, like this is the worst thing I've ever. People would get up and leave like this is the worst thing I've ever seen.
I mean, I would just go up there and purposely be bad. Maybe they would think it was funny because of that.
I know there's another one that they did. I like this topic. This is good. We spend a lot of time on this. We had to move on, but it's you had to bowl 300, but the rule was every hot dog you ate gave you 5 pence.
Oh man, that's not a lot of pins there.
It was I think they started with 5 and they're like, okay, we suck. We need 10 pins. Maybe it was 10 pins. So you basically had to eat 10 dogs and bowl 200 or 12 dogs and bowl 180. And you couldn't leave until there was like no time. So like you sat there eating hot dogs. I was like, that's a good one too.
That is a good one.
Because you're going to get more tired as it goes on. If you were smart, you just sit there and try to hammer 10 dogs as quick as you could.
Yeah.
And then, started bowling from that point.
Our fantasy league that we're in, it's a dynasty league with 8 of us who have been in it. Well, 6 or 7 of us who have been in it forever. We're kind of cycling to a new person here. Thanks, Carl Stevens. But I love you, Carl. But the one I liked on there the only one, like looking at these, Patrick and Ryan would never do some of this shit. They wouldn't be in the league if they had to. But the one that I thought would be funny would be, there was one that said you had to get a fat head of whatever the first place guy wanted you to get it of, and then you had to put it in your house for a year wherever they wanted. And I like that one because that would be something that I think everybody would probably agree to, because it would be a funny story to explain to people who came over to your house, and it's not going to cause you to like get a tattoo or like waste a whole day at McDonald's or whatever. So I like that one. But yeah, so some of those are pretty funny. You have any more you want to move on?
No, let's move on. Okay. That was a good topic. Though.
Yeah. Okay, we'll talk congratulations. We're done with the NBA Finals. This is the last day we're going to talk about it. Yep. We will definitely talk NBA draft coming up next week, or I think it's 9 or 8 days from now. So we will talk about that more so from a Spurs perspective, because we have 2 lottery picks and 3 or 4 overall picks. Yep. But NBA Finals last night, Celtics claimed their 18th championship, which is now the most in the NBA, in the history of the NBA. The Lakers previously were tied with the Celtics with 17. I'll start with this, because we're not going to go too in-depth to the X's and O's of this series. We've talked about it ad nauseum. Was this one of the worst, if not the worst, NBA Finals ever? It was a 4-1 series that the Celtics won. Only 2 of the 5 games were single-digit games. The Celtics won by 6 twice, 18 twice, and Dallas, oddly enough, won their only game by 38 this week, which was the 3rd largest win in NBA Finals history. Really,
the only good game was Game 3, right, where they came back and got it to like.
Game 2 was somewhat, but it wasn't. Yeah, Game 3 really came down to the last few possessions. Game 2,
and that's where Luka fouled out, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Game 2 was the one where PJ Washington had a breakaway that would have cut it to 3 with like 40 seconds to go, and they fouled him and didn't call it.
That was a big comeback too. They were down a lot of points.
They both 2 and 3. 2, they were down 10 with like 2 minutes to go and actually had a shot to cut it to a 1-possession game. And 3, they were down 20 in the 4th and cut it to 3 with 3 minutes to go, and then Luka fouled out, and Kyrie and Tim Hardaway took care of the rest. But it brings back, like, I'm just trying to remember some of the bad series. Like, I know you think back to early in the 2000 era. I know the Lakers played the Sixers. I can't remember if it was 2000 or 2001. that was a 4-1 series sweep, and the Lakers had swept everybody up to that point. So there was only one team that beat them the whole time. But that first game, AI like single-handedly beat the Lakers and had like 40 points. So that game alone was good enough to make that not like the worst ever. You know, the Nets played somebody, I can't remember. It might have been the Lakers. Might have been Nets Lakers in 0-2 because the Lakers played, or the Nets came back and played the Spurs in 0-3. It was a much better series. But yeah, I was just trying to think of if there was a worse series than this.
It wasn't a good one, that's for sure.
It was pretty bad, you know.
You got your wish with Brown winning MVP.
Thank God that they did the right thing.
I will say that it was like uncomfortably obvious at the end of the game when they were up 20 that Tatum was trying to take every shot.
He took 9 shots in the fourth quarter.
Pumping up the crowd. Yeah, I mean, it was crazy.
And they didn't pull him until 2 minutes to go in the game.
He's going after the MVP so hard right now.
And the funny thing was, actually, I've kind of heard this before, but apparently, and, you know, maybe I'll get corrected in the comments, but I've heard that those writers, like in a game like this, if it's a blowout and they know a team's going to win and it's a closeout game, they want to get their votes in like as quickly as possible. Sometimes they will put them in like early in the fourth quarter. And so I think they completely took out, you know, didn't take into account the fourth quarter, which they shouldn't. It was a 20-point game and Tatum scored like 13 points in the fourth quarter. They were essentially equal. I think Brown had 5 less points than Tatum going into the fourth and clearly had been the better player all series. You could honestly make an argument that Jrue Holiday should have been second in MVP voting. Yeah. If Tatum didn't score whatever he did in game 5, it would have been probably Jrue Holiday finishing second. I don't know what the votes tallied. I'm sure Tatum ended up finishing right behind him. But I did want Jaylen Brown to win because I don't like Jayson Tatum and because he didn't deserve it. Jaylen Brown was the best player all series. Him and Jrue Holiday were the 2 best in my opinion. But I did think it would have been kind of funny if they gave it to Jayson Tatum, because I will say, I think you left at this point because we were watching the game together. And I know you left right at the end. But when Joe Mazzulla finally fucking took everybody out, which was like a minute and a half to go, up by 25, Jaylen Brown came off the floor. And I'll tell you this, Tatum was excited, thought they won the championship. I think both of them also thought, like, I think Tatum thought he won MVP by what he did. And I thought Jaylen Brown thought he lost the MVP by what he did, because it was 2 totally different reactions. Tatum came off the floor, super excited, hugging everybody. Brown was not that excited. He was stone-faced. He looked like a man who had been robbed blind. And when they said his name, he was extremely happy. His mom was crying. Like, it was a big deal. And it would have been really fucking funny if they gave it to Jayson Tatum, because I guarantee you would have caused a huge rift between the two going fucking forward.
I mean, even this, I mean, I don't know. They seem like they're, I mean, obviously they want to win the championship, but they definitely seem like they're, you know, also they're after their own accolades too.
100%.
It's not like the Spurs where it's like we win championships and literally I don't think any of those 3 guys gave a shit who was going to win Finals MVP. It was like, oh yeah, Kawhi Leonard's this good. Well, let's get him the ball and let's win a championship. You know, so
they almost were trying to like pass the torch to Kawhi and let him get the MVP, which, looking back, sucks because Ginobili and Patty Mills were both phenomenal. Boris Diaw was phenomenal that series.
What was the count? I mean, obviously we won 5 ships, but what was the count on MVPs in the finals?
Tim Duncan won the first 3. So Tim Duncan won
so
91. He won 99, 03, 05. 07, Tony Parker won, and then 14, Kawhi won. Yeah. That's why I was kind of like, I would have been cool to give it to Manu because he was just as important as Kawhi in that series, and he never got one. And he was better, in my opinion, than Tony Parker for the majority of the finals runs. 07, like 06, 07, 08, that's when Tony Parker was like in the MVP talk. And so he, in terms of like the regular season as well, Manu was never that level. So Tony's rise at that point, he was like really, really good. But Manu was, in my opinion, the second best player in 03 and 05 for the Spurs. 99 was David Robinson, obviously. But yeah, so I agree. Like, the Spurs really didn't give a shit. That's rare in sports, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I don't think we'll ever see that again outside the Nuggets, because I really don't think Jokic gives a shit if they win. He just wants to go home to his horses, as he always says.
Did you see that video?
Go home to my horses.
Did you That's exactly what he says. Did you see that video? And they showed I don't know who posted it, but it was Jokic reaction to winning championship and finals MVP. And it's just like dead faced and he's no emotion. And then they showed him winning a horse race back in, is it Slovenia or Slovakia? Where is he from?
Serbia.
Serbia. And he goes absolutely bonkers like a little kid. It's fucking hilarious. Like, just loses his mind, jumping up and down. He kisses somebody on the cheek, just so happy.
They say that he's a lot like, obviously he keeps a straight face and whatever. And basketball is like, here's my job, yada, yada, yada. But apparently outside the court, he's a maniac. I mean, apparently
I believe it. His brothers are crazy.
He parties all the time. Yeah. He's like a much quieter version of like how good Rob Gronkowski was great, won all those championships. And Jokic is obviously MVP of the league, kind of different level at that, but he's got crazy brothers like the Gronkowskis. They're all like there's been several times, I think, in the last like 5 years where they're like, oh, they better be careful. Jokic's brothers are here, and they're like worried about them coming on the floor and beating the shit out of someone, because that's what they do in Serbia. Like if there's a fight, everybody's running on the court, meleeing people.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I remember
they fight with people in the stands all the time.
Yeah, Davis Bertans was talking about. He's from Lithuania, I believe, but he was talking about, they asked him, because he got thrown out of a game for like kind of a hard foul on Giannis. This was way back. And they was like, when Davis was a Spur, he's like, have you ever been to thrown out of a game? He goes, oh yes, when we played our rivals in Lithuania, he goes, but it was much worse than this. And people looked up the video, and it's like 5-on-5 hockey fighting of guys beating the shit out of each other on the floor. I mean, it's like, it just, like, the SEC, as Bailey says, just means more. Basketball over in Europe just means more. It's like the Olympiacos president who's like a Greek mobster that threatened to kill the ref and his entire family. And like, oh, okay, well, this is it's a little bit more interesting. Could you imagine if Mark Cuban was on the floor being like, if you fuck up, I'm going to kill you and your entire family?
That's literally the plot of Semi-Pro. Like, that is Jackie Moon. He's Jackie Moon. I'll murder your family. Suck my C. I'll murder your family. Maybe your mom didn't go to heaven. That's it. We're off. We're done.
That's it.
We're leaving the floor. That's it. Jackie, I'm sorry. No, that is exactly what Mark Cuban would be. He's like the real life version of Jackie Moon. Like, obviously not to that extent. Like, he's not trading washing machines for point guards, but it's close. It's close.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of surprised Mark Cuban sold the team. I get why he did it, but at least he's still a part of the team or whatever. But yeah, that's hilarious. That's like on The Last Dance, where Phil Jackson's talking about before he coached in the NBA, he was coaching in like Mexico City. I think it was it might have been South America somewhere. I don't remember where it was, but he said one time they got so mad that one of the owners shot one of the officials in the leg, and his punishment was he could not go to any more home games the rest of the year. That was his punishment, yes, for shooting an official in the leg.
Hysterical.
I guess he purposely didn't shoot him in the face, but anyway.
Just a flesh wound, dude.
I'm getting fucking text messages from Temu. I guess they've hacked my stuff finally.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, I do not support Temu. I do not support Amazon. Support local businesses. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit more, a few things about the NBA Finals. I saw ESPN tweeted something out that said Kyrie Irving waited for every single Mavs player to console them after the loss. Hey, motherfucker. How about Kyrie Irving give every one of those Mavs players and the ownership back half their fucking money, because that's what they deserve. This man went out and made $40 million this year to shit on them in the biggest series, biggest moment of the season. I mean, it was pathetic. He averaged under 20 points per game, 19.8. He shot 40% from the field, just over 41. 27% from three. Last night was his masterpiece. I mean, couldn't buy a shot when they needed him most. He only averaged 5 assists and 3 rebounds. He is playing 40 minutes a game. 40 minutes a game doing all this. And keep in mind, this is the same team that refused to pay Jalen Brunson $11 million a year to extend him. I understand that at the time, Brunson wasn't what he was, but there were signs. Like, Luka even said it. In that playoff run where Luka was injured, they went to the conference finals. Brunson had some, 30, 40-point games. The signs were clear. Why you wouldn't lock that guy up for that amount of money when you know the changing landscape of the league is just going to cost you a shit ton of money, and then go out? I mean, like I said last night, you get what you pay for. You paid for a guy with a screw loose, and I said it when I got him. I thought it was a bad trade. Now, you can argue the opposite because they made the NBA Finals, and Kyrie was a big part of that. But he did this throughout the playoffs. I've been saying this the whole playoffs. He's been inconsistent. There were games where he scored in the single digits, like 9 points in big games. He did this multiple times throughout the playoffs. No consistency. He's older, and you're paying him $40 million a year. And it's just, I thought it was indicative of a lot of NBA stars we've seen in the past 5 years. Look at like a lot of the guys who make a ton of money like that. Bradley Beal going to the Suns. Kevin Durant. Now, Kevin Durant's still really good, but still, like, has games like that. Like,
how about let's go a little bit further to old John Wall?
Oh, John Wall. There you go. John Wall. I mean,
making $100 and whatever million dollars is to play 5 games.
It's unbelievable. I mean, you could even argue, like, look at Tobias Harris, who got paid all that money to go to Philly. He's like the 4th or 5th option there, and he can't even make a jump shot. Like, all these guys who are kind of going to the tail end of their career, and it's just an interesting, dynamic in the NBA now because a lot of the teams that are winning championships, or at least the past couple years, have been teams who have built from the draft, and they have maybe added a piece or two in free agency. For example, the Boston Celtics, right? Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, both drafted. Al Horford, been there for 10 years, right? They go out and get, this year, to Brad Stevens' credit, had nothing to do with Joe Mazzulla. They go out and get Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. Those guys end up being the difference, right? Mainly Drew Holiday. Kristaps played a little bit last night. By the way, he's going to need surgery, and he's going to be out like 3 months. I can't believe he even played last night. He wasn't nearly close to healthy. But regardless, it's just, I think it's refreshing that we're seeing teams that build, and I hate the Celtics. I mean, fuck Boston. I hate Boston. The only team I hate more in Boston is LA. Talk about the Lakers, not the Clippers. And it's nice. Nuggets did the same thing. They built from within and went through years of losing, just like the Celtics did, found a way to win the title. I wasn't rooting for the Celtics. I wanted the Mavs to do it, but you can't just go get superstars. That worked for 5-10 years. It's not working anymore because of the outrageous salaries. And when you had guys going to like Miami when LeBron and D-Wade did it, first of all, that was guys like in their fucking prime, not getting older yet. And they all took fucking pay cuts. That's the only way I think it can work. You can't do a thing like Phoenix did and pay 3 different guys max contracts and then fill out the rest of your roster with old, cheap guys. It just doesn't work anymore. Maybe a team will get it done, in the next 10 years, but the majority are going to be like this. They're going to be teams who build from the inside. Look at OKC on the rise. Oh, yeah. Right? Like, it's team. Look at Minnesota, even though they have Gobert, so they'll never win. But teams like that.
Yeah, it seems like the super team era hopefully is dead. It'd be better for basketball anyway. So hopefully, I mean, look what like you said, look what the Suns tried to do. They're up fucking shit creek without a paddle right now. They are fucked.
They're absolutely fucked.
They got to sell everybody. So
I want to bring up one last question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll fire off some questions and we'll do rapid and we'll move on because I don't want to spend too much time on this. It's over. We're done with NBA. We can now look forward to fucking football. Thank God. Even though I'm not going to say that I'm glad college basketball's been over. That I don't miss at all.
College basketball.
But NBA, it's fun for the playoffs, so that's about it. But does this tarnish Tatum's legacy by not winning Finals MVP and performing this way?
I don't think so. I mean, I know you're a Tatum hater, and I don't really care. I don't think he's as good as people make him out to be. I guess the verdict's really kind of all over. Like, everybody agrees that he's good. I guess which he is, but there's arguments of like, oh, is he a top 5 player? Is he a top 15 player? I see him as like I think it was Mad Dog Russo that was like going off because Stephen A was talking about him and Mad Dog was like, okay, would you take him over? And he listed like 8 guys and Stephen A Smith was like, no. He's like, okay, so maybe he's the top 10 player.
Right.
But he's certainly not any better than that. Like, maybe he's there.
Right.
And he was like, I'd take Brown over him. That was Mad Dog talking, but I was like, it's a good point. I mean, he isn't a top 10. I mean, he's not. You can maybe say he's right on the top 10.
Yeah.
But
9, 10, 11. But he's definitely not a guy. I mean, this is why they didn't win the last couple years.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they had to have a team that was built more like the 14 Spurs, where it was dispersed around, and there were a lot of guys. Now, to be fair, and I'm not taking anything away from Boston, Dallas was the hottest team in the league. They had arguably the best player on the planet, and they won in 5 games. But Dallas's roster was really exposed down the stretch, and Luka was clearly not 100%. Kyrie got exposed. And then you look at Boston's run. We've talked about it. Easiest run I've ever seen to an NBA Finals. Played the Miami Heat, the 8th seed, with no Jimmy Butler, no Terry Rozier. Played a bad Cleveland Cavaliers team without Jared Allen and without Donovan Mitchell for multiple games. They played the Pacers, should have lost game 1. It should have been going back to Indiana 1-1, and Halliburton gets hurt and instead it's 0-2 and ends up being a sweep. That could have been a 6-7 game series. Who knows how it plays out if that series goes 6-7 games, right? Like, who knows how it plays out if the Knicks are healthy, right? Like, if the Knicks don't suffer injuries, they were playing phenomenal. What if Embiid doesn't go down? Like, they dodged every possible scenario that made this run tough for them. And so I don't know. My point is, I don't know that they'll be back. They probably will get back to another finals. Maybe. They probably won't win another one. Depends on if they can keep Holiday and Porzingis and work around that. But I just think Tatum, if he does, because he didn't win the MVP, because I don't think they're going to be back, he is what he is, right? Like, they had to have other pieces to win the championship. They were a team. They had nothing to do with Jayson Tatum playing the way he did last night. Like, it didn't matter. It did not. He didn't even start playing well, really, until the fourth quarter. And I understand, like, you can look at other stats and say, well, he rebounds and he has assists. Yes, but he is paid to be a scorer. That's what he does, right? Like, he's not a defensive guy. He's not a facilitator. He's a scorer. And so you expect him to score. And he didn't do that for most of the series. He did it last night, mostly in garbage time. That's what he does. When they're up, he looks great. When they're not, he doesn't. And so I do think it tarnishes his legacy to an extent of, if you're a guy who thinks, oh, this guy's a great, all-time great. No, he's not. Is he a top 10, 15 NBA player who could be the centerpiece on a championship if you have other guys who are just as good or better than him, or right around? Yeah, 100%. Obviously, we saw that. That's what happened.
Yep.
But still, even with that run, you could argue, like, yeah, they won, but it very easily could have been much more difficult, and who knows what could have happened. Everything broke their way, and it made it very easy. The run was not as simple as it looked. They just got very, very fortunate. All right. I guess we will move on. Oh, do you think Dallas gets back here? Do you think Dallas has a chance to, like, will Luka win a championship in the next 5 years?
I'm going to say yeah, maybe one. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. You would answer that question better than me. I would say just depending on how the draft works out and who they go get, but I would say yes.
The West is just such a gauntlet.
It's tough, but dude, Curry's getting older, and obviously, LeBron's going to be gone. I mean, it just seems like the West is going to get now. Don't get me wrong, the Spurs have Wemby, and they're going to be, everybody's going to be waiting in line to play with him. So that'll be a team that is a force here in the next 5 years too. You would hope. Well, as a Spurs fan, we hope, but
yeah,
we will see.
Also, by the way, just last note. That was the worst coach series I've ever seen. Jason Kidd.
Oh, my God, he's a genius.
I mean, the dude, Maxi Kleba playing 17 minutes a game. It was pathetic, some of the decisions he made. Tim Hardaway out of the lineup for 4 games, then just inserting him back and expecting him to just show up. PJ Washington, I mean, the memes last night on PJ Washington were fucking hilarious. It was so good. Like, OKC was the only series he played good. He played out of his mind, had an out-of-body experience, was terrible the rest of the playoffs, including the first round and the championship. But, yeah, anyway. Okay, I'm going to bring up an important topic here. Are you ready for this?
Ready.
Caitlin Clark.
I knew we were going to get to here.
Well, we have to, because this is
Listen, you've made a fan out of Jeremiah. We've talked about it. I
told
walked
you.
into the house. He's in there going, I don't give a shit about the NBA. When Caitlin Clark's on, I agree with Dylan and Big Dog. I watch her, and you're perfect timing. I walked in, saw Angel Reese Cole cocker across the face and flashed the gang signs from the bench.
Look.
Classic Angel.
Look. Okay.
Fucking WNBA.
Caitlin Clark. Let me go back. Angel Reese, right? She loves to play the victim. She came out in her press conference after flagrant fouling Caitlin Clark and saying, I guess some people just get a special whistle. Like, if you watch the play, I don't think it's a dirty play. I have nothing against it. By definition, it is like you would show that on a video to show officials what a flagrant foul is. Like, cock back, hit her in the head, don't touch the ball. in this modern day, whether I agree that's like a flagrant foul in past years or not,
It's for sure.
it's 100% without debate. And here's the thing. She likes to say this, and Emmanuel Acho brought this up to his credit. I saw this, a clip of this. He said, Angel Reese came out and said, beginning of the year, everybody thinks Caitlin Clark and I hate each other. We don't hate each other. And Caitlin Clark clearly does not hate Angel Reese, or at least she doesn't show it. But Angel Reese is lying. She hates Caitlin Clark. She hates that she's a white girl getting the attention over her because legitimately she comes out and says that, well, I'll tell you what. The Chicago Sky have had 2 flagrant fouls the entire season. Both of them have been on Caitlin Clark. And one of them involved Angel Reese in the act. The other involved a girl cheap shotting her without the ball in play, and Angel Reese proceeding to stand up and clap and cheer for the cheap shot.
Yep.
So it's ridiculous. And the reason I want to bring this up is less to talk about Caitlin Clark. We've discussed this, before. Caitlin Clark, by the way, I think she was 7 of 11 and was a leading scorer in the game, and they beat the Chicago Sky for the second time. And she's getting better and better as the season goes on. She's going to be the rookie of the year. It's not even going to be close. Angel Reese, by the way, was like 4 of 15 from the field. She's shooting. They said Jonte Porter was trying to fucking miss shots to lose bets, and he shot a better percentage than Angel Reese did. And she only shoots fucking layups. It's true. But I want to bring up the race issue because it's beginning to get so out of control. And I want to bring this up because ESPN specifically, and this has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with simple fucking logic, okay? We have ESPN, who has become, whether you like it or not, a very liberal and a very, how do I say this? They purposely have diversity on their shows now. Whether it's the best person for the job or not, right? That they don't care anymore about having good analysts. They care about saving money and looking good from that perspective, from a political correctness standpoint. And so you have guys now who can do this, who go on national television like Stephen A. Smith and say shit like Caitlin Clark is a symbol for white supremacy and misogyny and homophobia.
Stephen A. Smith said that?
Basically, yes. And you have obviously the Twitter sphere, all these people saying that because Caitlin Clark says, when she's asked, I really don't pay attention to it. Obviously, I don't support that stuff. I want to play basketball, right?
Yeah.
If anyone else said that would be the correct answer. But they will spin it any way they want to make it sound like she's the fucking villain. It is absolutely disgusting. I'm disgusted with ESPN. I don't watch a lot of those shows. I've just seen some of those clips, and I see normally on Twitter, people tweeting out the clips of this and then talking about it. But Paul Pierce basically does the same thing on Skip Show now. Speaking of idiots, the only guy who I've seen who
love you, Skip.
The only guy
Big
who I've
dog's
seen,
boy,
yeah,
Skip Bayless.
I like
There's
Skip.
There's no bigger fan of Skip Bayless.
I don't love Skip.
Than Big Dog.
Don't mind Skip. Let me put it that way. But the only guy who has any logic, and it's the only guy I actually watch in sports talk, is Dan Patrick. Dan Patrick's the best guy in sports around because he's just fucking logical. He goes out and says, yeah, you know why Angel Reese isn't popular? Because she's a good player, but she gets rebounds. There's nothing interesting about her except for what she tries to say off the court and generate.
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark is interesting. The way she plays, the same way Michael Jordan was, the same way Steph Curry was. And I've seen Jamel Hill does this online. She race baits all day long. And it's like, oh, Caitlin Clark only gets marketed because she's white. Wasn't Diana Taurasi a giant star? Nobody cares about her. Nobody marketed her. Wasn't Michael Jordan the most marketed athlete of all time? Wasn't Serena Williams? Steph Curry. I mean, it's just the stupidest argument I've ever heard my entire life.
You like. It's such a bizarre. I was thinking about that the other day, and I was like, do I like it? It was like, no. It was like, I like, obviously Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player of all time. Yeah. I'm not like, was Larry Bird? No, it's Michael it was Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know. I don't see it. I think in sports, Tiger fucking Woods is the most
ever.
Maybe, I mean, you could argue that he's the second most popular athlete ever behind MJ. You could almost make arguments that he's the greatest golfer to ever live. He's a black guy in a white dominated sport.
I know.
And every white guy I know loves Tiger Woods. Like, oh, Tiger Woods,
yes.
Tiger Woods. Like so that's what I think is just so funny about it, that they try to do this.
And here's their argument back, right? Like they'll say, like I brought up Tiger Woods and some other people were bringing up Tiger Woods. And so this is like, they'll tweet something out from like back in the fucking 90s or early 2000s when he's like on the upcome. And it's like Fuzzy Zeller saying something at the Masters, like
for the fried chicken comment
congratulations on winning, tell him not to serve fried chicken next year. And it's like, okay,
there's one racist old white guy that plays golf. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, it has nothing to do with fucking what we're talking about whatsoever. Like, yes, of course there are people like that. And of course, there are some people who are racist who like Caitlin Clark because she's white, but the majority, 99% of the people who like her, it's because of how she plays. You think that people care about women's basketball because a girl is white? You're delusional. Nobody's watching women's basketball. And another thing is, it's like people try to make the argument that she has like this sex appeal because she's a white woman. It's like she is the most tomboy looking person I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, they're just so off base. It's ridiculous to me. And I'm so tired of it. I'm glad that we live in a society that has kind of gone away from cancel culture after all that bullshit. Yeah. Like we've kind of pushed away from it, but there are still so many people out there that just refuse to do it. And for every white person you can find that would say, oh, this person made a racist comment on Twitter and is a Caitlin Clark supporter, you can find a black person who hates Caitlin Clark because she's white and supports Angel Reese. Same thing, right? It's just the world we live in. There's bad apples everywhere, right? Like, it's just what happens. And so it's absolutely ridiculous, this whole notion that ESPN needs to stop with this narrative. People on Twitter need to stop with this narrative. We're some small show. Nobody cares about what we think. But the point of the matter is, that's the truth, right? Like, if you want to look at this from a logical perspective, from what is right, leave the fucking girl alone. I mean, it's absurd. I think
it's a little bit of both. I think it's a topic now that these networks know that like certain people care about, and it's like a polarizing topic. So I think they just keep running with it and going with it. And, there's also conspiracy theorists that the WNBA is doing everything they can to make it like this so the spotlight stays on them, because if it doesn't stay like this, the WNBA, like I said, need them back in the sewer sports. They're going to go right back to being the most irrelevant, money-losing operation in the entire world.
That was such a good rant.
I just don't know if, and I think Caitlin Clark obviously has the potential to, it's going to be interesting to see what happens if she for the next, and I think she has gotten that big, but it'll be interesting to see that if she keeps selling out arenas for the next 5 years, or if it's just a craze 1 year out of Iowa. I know how much people love her. Great player. I mean, I get it. Like, my take on it. I just don't give a shit about the WNBA, and I never will.
It's fair.
But I mean, it is really, it's a fair comment from me too, because first of all, the WNBA sucks. Secondly, I don't even like the NBA. So how do you expect me to like the fucking WNBA?
That's fair.
It's not going to happen. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of people like that too. It's like, I don't even like the NBA. Funny enough, though, the NBA, you got Jokic who wins MVP. And Luka, who was second in the MVP, or SGA, I don't know who was second, but the point is
SGA, then Luka, I think. Yeah.
But I mean, it's like two white guys on the top of the NBA that are talked about not near as much as like LeBron James, right? So that's what cracks me up. It's like
100%.
Yeah,
anyway,
great point. It's all stupid.
Great point. Yeah, no. I mean,
Jokic has won. What is it? 2, 3 MVPs in a row?
Three out of the last 4.
Yeah, and LeBron's talked about way more than Jokic.
Yep.
Way more.
It's way more than Jokic. And
it's funny because Caitlin Clark is borderline like Jokic in the sense it's like she just wants to play basketball. She don't want to get involved in anything. But the men aren't jealous little bitches like all these girls are. So they don't care that he's a fat white guy from Serbia that can't jump. He's just fucking good. And they're like, hey, it's fucking good, man. Yeah. He's like, he can't dribble past anybody, but he scores 40 points a game and grabs 10 rebounds and has 10 assists. It's like, he's fucking good. I don't know what I'm going to say about it. I don't hate him. Like, he's the least sexy guy on earth as far as like, well, in general, but on earth,
How dare you?
right. No, I'm kidding. On earth, like winning the MVP. They'd rather give it to Luka or SGA. They didn't want to give it to him again, but he's so fucking good and he's boring. I mean, he bores people to sleep. But the point is, he's just like, he's white in a dominant black league. And he doesn't get any attention, so you can't have it both ways.
No, I agree 100%. Yeah, he's like the guy you would least want to give the MVP to from like a media and a perspective of that. Like, they would way rather LeBron have the MVP or Luka, like somebody who's in the media or whatever. Yeah, it has nothing and it's funny too, because I think actually you could make the argument that some white guys get the opposite of the benefit of the doubt. Like, Jokic was putting up numbers like this for a long time, and nobody really gave him a lot of respect. Like, even the first MVP, really, until they won the championship. Until they won the championship, it was like, yeah, he's going to do this because he puts up these numbers, but he's really not that good. And then when he won the title and won finals MVP and, cooked the entire league for the playoffs, everybody started noticing and was like, oh, he really is this good. Yeah. And I swear to you, you could make the argument that if he wasn't white, nobody would have felt that way. Like, the fact that he was white and slow and couldn't jump made it feel like, oh, he's really not that good, when he fucking was for a long time. I felt that way. I felt that way for a long time. I was like, I really don't think he's that great, until I really fucking watched him just cook the entire league in that playoff run. And so, yes, I 100% agree.
You can't stop him.
We'll move on real quick.
Least athletic guy on the floor. Can't stop him.
Bryson Dechambeau wins the U.S. Open on Father's Day. I believe they said his father passed away a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that. Obviously, we talked about Bryson's likability changing. It was fun to watch him over the course of the weekend. Credit to you. You gave out, I don't remember what you gave out for Morikawa. I can't remember.
It was a loser, whatever it was.
Was it for sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so
it wasn't top 20. I think it was either top 10 or top 5, whatever.
You gave out Bryson DeChambeau to win the U.S. Open and
he was pretty much 20-1 everywhere. I was looking.
He was 20-1
tickets
on the day of. I think 18 was like the last number I saw. Like, it got as low as 18, but it opened 23, got down to 22, got down to 20. So it was a sharp side, and you were right. And he was the best player all week. We'll talk a little bit about it. Obviously, we have the last round where Rory takes a 2-shot lead going into the final 5 holes. Rory MclIroy, that is, if you're not a golf person. And Rory had been looking for his, 5th major for the last decade plus. And it really looked going into hole 14 when he was about to tee off on 14, like, okay, like he is a 5-1 favorite to win this thing. All he's got to do is make a couple pars here, and he's going to get in and win. Bryson answers quickly with a birdie. Rory bogeys 3 of the last 4 holes, I believe, 15, 16, 18, and 18 being the most brutal one. I think 16 was, he was 49 of 49 on putts inside of 4 feet all week. And then on 16 and 18, the last 2, he missed both of them.
Yep.
And
the pressure, the pressure obviously got to him.
Yeah.
We were talking about it a little bit though. I mean, it's one of those deals, like we watched that, the final round in 45 minutes, went back and watched it. It's like, he made at least 3 putts that were 20 feet, I think. So, it kind of evened out, but for sure, he'll tell you a million times out of a million, I got to make those putts. I got to be better. And and there was strictly pressure. Like, I could give him the one on 18, that putt snap. It was 4-foot
a lot of break.
But there's a ton of break in it. It was downhill. But the one on 16, you just can't miss. It's inside of 3 feet. Kind of fell apart there. All the credit to Bryson for getting it done. Like you said, it's crazy how popular he's gotten. It's like, it's as far as popularity, it's like the craziest thing we've seen in this country since Tiger, which is so funny because he was so hated 5 years ago. And I've never really...
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2. And so and it's hilarious because he lives to live golf, where all the guys are just getting absolutely bashed online, this and that. He leans into all these YouTube golfers and making content online with people. But I do, he's definitely making a concerted effort to do it. There's zero doubt about that. But Yeah, I do think he is a good guy. I don't think it's like too manufactured. I think.
So I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
So like, do you think, for example, like he back when people didn't like him.
Yeah.
My understanding was he was very short with the media. He was kind of a dick to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, this going in front of the camera on YouTube after going to Live, which going to Live probably allowed him to do that.
Yeah.
Because you don't really see any PGA players with YouTube channels, I don't think. And so do you think I guess I'm curious, do you think that this is, like, is this who he is?
Is it genuine is what you're asking?
Is it genuine? Yeah, not saying it's a manufacturer because that seems kind of like,
no,
but is it genuine?
It is genuine, I think. Even back in the day where he was really not likable, he would do stuff with Barstool and stuff, and he would always be like, even when he was not likable, he would call, one of the guys who works for Barstool, Frank, he's like, come out here and hit some wedge shots. And like, I just think that he's always been kind of a likable guy and like, gets along with most people. It's just his golf deal was driving people crazy where he's the mad scientist. He takes forever to play with his green book. He's only worried about hitting it like 9 million yards and basically telling everybody they should be doing this. I actually think I heard him on a little interview. He was talking about his clubs, how instead of being straight on the end, they're like rounded to a certain degree. It's very strange. And he said, I think he's working on, he's going to release, like, he's going to have his own line of clubs.
That's smart.
He'll make millions upon millions of dollars doing it.
If they're
I think a lot of people, how people are in golf. You spend a ton of money and they're constantly tinkering with things.
Yeah.
Like, I think just about everybody will go at least try to hit him and be like, oh, this work engine. He might be in like half people's golf bags if they decide, hey, I want all my clubs to be, this length and that. And, so it'll be interesting. But like I said, I think it's at least mainly genuine. And yeah, I've never seen quite a turnaround, I don't think, with an athlete like that quick, like you said, in 2 years, where it's like everybody's pulling for him now. So
yeah, I mean, he's got 1.3 million followers on Instagram. He's up to 730,000 subscribers on YouTube, and that's with only 100 videos. Like, I don't know when his first video was, but it wasn't all that long ago. Like, I think I'm looking at this. Like, he made a few videos. He had like 5 videos 2 years ago. This is probably around when he went to Live, but he really in the last year has gone
crazy
full on and done it like a ton and makes a video a week, and that's become like, what's changed this. And I mean, from a perspective of a fan, would I like to root for a guy who, and I'm not saying I expect athletes to do this because it's kind of ridiculous to think that everybody should have to do this. But the fact that, like, in between swings, he's just standing there not doing anything. Like, there was a delay ahead on a hole, and he goes over and signs this little kid's, poster.
Yeah, a lot of people they don't
like it, right?
A lot of people, nobody does that during like a round typically.
And
like,
people don't like it, right?
After, like, probably golfers don't like him doing it because it's distracting to them. Like, Spieth doesn't do it during a round, but he'll be like, hey, tell kids when he's on the range, like, after I sign my scorecard, I'll go over there and sign whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like, there's guys that do that, and Bryson's doing that. But doing it on the course.
Should he not do it?
I'll probably sound like an old boomer saying this, but yeah, technically, no. I mean, there's guys that are like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, are you signing autographs when I'm getting ready to swing a golf club? And then other people would say, lighten up. What does it fucking matter? And I'm kind of in between, but I would get why other guys don't like it. It's like, hey, sign on your own time. We're all out here playing, you know? But, he was doing a good job with the kids. He was signing everything for all of them out there. And, I mean, he seems like out of nowhere, the ambassador for golf. Rory is, really popular, and there were some people there cheering for him, obviously, but I thought it would be like 50-50 because Rory is
he's super popular.
And you could tell the majority, way more were cheering for Bryson.
Yeah, towards the end for sure.
And like I said, we were watching Saturday, watched yesterday. He hit it kind of all over yesterday. There's a lot of luck involved winning these tournaments, especially at a course where there's native areas like that. Like, you can end up in a bush and be able to move it a foot or not move it anywhere. And, when you're playing at a course that just has a lot of rough places, it's different because everybody's dealing with it, draw a lie. But yeah, I mean, he got lucky on 18. Saturday, he got lucky. 18, he got pretty damn lucky.
If that goes another foot, he has no shot. He's punching back out into the fairway. Yeah. Now he's having to get up and down from 100 and 20 yards as opposed to now the bunker shot was incredibly difficult, a 40 or 50 yard bunker shot. And he hit it on an impossible green to like 3 feet. It was an incredible shot. I do want to ask you one thing, and then we'll move on. Was it a bad look for Rory? He didn't do any interview afterwards. He just left, didn't talk to the media, and then withdrew from the Travelers. He did tweet something out and said, like, I'm just processing everything. I was hurt by this or whatever, and like I'm gonna prepare and I'll be back for the Genesis Open to defend my title and then go to the US or the British Open or the Open Championship as it's called now.
Yep. No, I don't really have a problem with it. I know a lot of people do, like, oh, you should go face the music, but what is he gonna say? Yeah, I choked, missed a couple putts. I mean, and he released that statement. I mean, to me, it doesn't fucking matter. Yeah. I don't care. And he's done this before when he was the favorite going into the Masters. I guess it was like 2 years ago, and missed the cut completely. He didn't even show to the next tournament, and all he had to do was show up and make $3 million. He could have just hit the ball all over the place 2 rounds and went home and not done any media, but he said no, he needs some time off. So that shows you how much money the guy has too. He's like, I'm not gonna go collect. I'm not gonna go play 2 rounds of golf and collect $3 million.
It's actually kind of, when you put it like that, it's actually ridiculous.
Yeah.
Do you think? And I want to move on from this, but I was looking at it. I told you this last night. I thought Morikawa plus 1,600 in the British Open might be a good play. Mm-hmm. Any guys you like just off the top of your head?
I would have to look, but yeah, it seems like a good one. He's always good in the Open, so that seems like it would be a good one.
Cantlay also had a good showing this weekend. He played good.
He did.
Of course, fucking Tom Kim, epic collapse for me on my bet. If I had just gone with your Bryson bet, I would have won. Instead, I went 9-3 or 8-4 on my pre-tournament picks, but Tom Kim fucked me twice. Lost to Tyrell Hatton by 1 and lost to Shane Lowry by 1 after having a 5-stroke fucking lead going into Sunday. And then lost Sepp Straka, who shot fucking 6 or 7 over on the last fucking 5 holes. Just shit all over me.
That was not good.
Yeah, that was brutal. I had a brutal week of bad beats, but I bounced back. I had the Celtics first quarter last night. Made $150 on the Celtics winning the championship. All right, Stanley Cup Finals Game 5. I believe it's tonight. After the Oilers finally win a game, right? Win it and not just win a game. They won 8-1. It was, I think, the biggest win in franchise history in a Stanley Cup Final for Edmonton. Glad they won because we get to see another hockey game.
Yeah.
Obviously, hockey is different from the NBA in the sense that there have been some 0-3 comebacks. Is this an Edmonton team in this matchup that can come back? No. Is it over tonight?
It was a great game. I would assume it's over tonight, but if Bobrovsky, it was confidence. He gave up several. That's just going to happen when you're a goalie certain nights. You're going to have games where you give up 4 goals and they pull you, whatever. I mean, at that point.
Especially when he was saving like the amount he was in the first 3 games.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Listen, they'll take those first 3 games from him and say, and give up 5 this game. Who cares? Now they have still 3 shots to win it. If they lost tonight, things would get interesting, but I still think the Panthers are in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
I think they're going to, they're just a better, obviously you got the star power on Edmonton, but Florida's just a better overall team. So,
yeah, they've looked like the better team. Even early in that game, I think Edmonton went up 2-0. Florida answered with the goal, and I kind of thought Florida might end up still winning the game. And then Edmonton, I think once it got to like 4-1, Florida was like, all right, we'll go back. We got 3 more shots at this. Kind of like Boston did.
It was wave the white flag.
Similar to the
in hockey, finals. Try to rough them up a little bit, take penalties, and just get back home.
Yeah, so
try to close it out.
We'll check out game.
My Florida Panthers are winning the Stanley Cup.
You did pick them to win
in the second round, but at that point they probably would have been like 5-1 probably.
Now
in the second round,
I want to check on you, Bailey, and I want you to turn your mic on here. So
get out of your comfort zone over there, Bailey.
I want to check on you.
Let's talk some Vols baseball.
That's what I'm going to. So Tennessee, you said you were.
He's going to turn his mic off and goes, I'm not talking about this.
No, just come on, Bailey. It's good content here. You as a Vanderbilt fan said you were rooting against Tennessee. And so, me as a loyal friend was rooting against Tennessee. And I checked the score and it was 11-8 or 11-7 going into the final inning against Florida State. I don't know what the fuck happened. They scored 4 or 5 runs in the bottom of the 9th, walked it off. Then they went again yesterday, right? So now they're 1 win away from advancing to the College World Series. How do you feel about this, Bailey?
I'm fine with it. It's actually better for me. I hope to see them lose in the most devastating fashion possible. ideally that's, in a bottom of the ninth tied game situation. So whatever makes their fan base the most miserable.
Okay, so
That
whatever
sounds about right.
whatever makes the
He's
fan
a
base the
real.
most miserable.
He's a real.
That's a true fan right there.
Yeah, I mean,
I've never seen so. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody
he's
that
disgruntled is what I would say, right?
I don't think I've
is that
ever.
the
Well,
correct word
disgruntled
there?
is a great word. That's
Yeah.
like curb your enthusiasm. I'm disgruntled with the big D.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever seen anybody that big of a fan of a team, like in terms of the school, right? Like that is actually unique to our show, right? Like Bailey is a Vanderbilt fan who, like, if you asked him for a football national championship to cut off his left pinky, he probably fucking would. And would you?
Well, I play guitar.
Like, okay, well, what about the right pinky?
Yeah, I could probably do that.
Or he cut off a toe. Like Big Lebowski is like, fucking amateurs,
I
man.
give
You
up
need
a
a
toe.
toe. You need a toe. I'll get you a toe. I get the same nail polish on it. Just give me 24 hours.
I would not cut
Walter.
off anything, for a Spurs or Cowboys or Longhorns championship. I would do some crazy shit, but I would not do that. But Bailey is that diehard, and so that is impressive. But we have a couple games. Are they tonight? Yeah, we've got Florida State and North Carolina actually going to start here right as we finish the podcast. And then we've got Kentucky and Florida. The winner of Florida State, North Carolina will take on Tennessee. The winner of Kentucky, Florida will take on A&M. And then they have to win. Whoever wins those two games will have to win 2 times, right? Against Tennessee and A&M. This is double elimination. Do you think which of the teams, Tennessee or A&M, is more likely to not get to the College World Series now, only being 1 win away?
I think they'll both get there, but I'd say A&M's the more likely.
To not get there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they should have lost. Again, bad beat for me again. I had Florida to beat A&M and fucking hit a home run in the top of the 9th inning to go up by 1, and they were robbed at the fence. So it very easily could be Florida in this position or Kentucky, and A&M's back. So also A&M's got a number of injuries. They lost Montgomery, their best hitter, who's like a first-round draft pick. They lost their best pitcher, I believe, in that super regional. So could go either way, but yeah.
I guess I got to cheer. I never thought I'd say this. I guess I got to cheer for the Aggies so Bailey doesn't kill himself. We'll be down a producer if Tennessee wins.
If it's A&M and Tennessee, I'll root for the Aggies. But
if it's anybody
I'm
else,
not rooting for them to get there. I want Florida or Kentucky to get there.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I have to root against the
fine with
Aggies. Okay,
cool
let's
with
see
that
what else
one.
we got. Oh, man, brutal. Our brahmas fell just short. When I say just short, I mean they got to the championship game. The game wasn't close whatsoever. Now,
I don't know what was going on with the boys. I don't know. They came out flat. Don't know what happened, but
they didn't score, did they?
I don't know. It was ugly.
Yeah, they did.
Garbers is. I mean, like I said,
the slide.
I mean, yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot the
slide.
Up there down. His running back just fucking laying into him was
McFarland.
Awesome.
He was losing his mind, dude.
Jeremiah was like, oh, man, McFarland, he's a guy that should be talking shit because he runs hard. And he's like, you just slid on 3rd and 1. Like, come on.
And there wasn't anyone
it's a
near
championship game, bro. Garbers is supposed to be a running quarterback, but this is how fucking delusional that guy is. He, like, thinks he's going to be in a camp.
Oh, yeah, he's delusional.
He's like, I got to slide and protect myself. It's a 16-point game. Like, I'm going to get down and protect this body. Like, dude.
And they pulled him.
You're not going anywhere, buddy.
And they pulled him.
Yeah, and put it in.
Which I think was I think the fact that the game was over at that point was the right call, just to send the message to your team. Like, we're not going to allow somebody to, because he only got pulled because he slid. I don't think there was any other reason. I think he got pulled because he slid there.
He was terrible anyway.
And then it was a terrible play call.
They just don't throw the ball down the field. It's fucking, I mean,
well, it was funny.
Garbers had 17 completions for like 105 yards.
Yeah,
I don't even know how that's possible. You don't have, I mean, like, they're all 5-yard routes, 6-yard routes.
Yeah, their screen passes are out routes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Then they put Dormandy in. Dormandy actually took him down the field, and I told my dad when he came in, I was like, he's going to get sacked 3 times this drive. And I know he got sacked at least twice, including
one where he fell over.
Where he tried to backpedal 25 yards and fell on himself, and we were on the 1-yard line, and they didn't score a touchdown because of that. I mean, he's so bad. He's the worst quarterback I've ever seen. He really is. He makes, fucking A.J. McCarron look like an NFL quarterback.
Well, first of all, Big Dog has already said A.J. McCarron is an NFL
Oh,
quarterback.
yeah. He was as a backup.
Also, folks, don't you worry at home. Big Dog will be back very soon. He wanted me to relay the message. He's got all kinds of stuff cooked up. If we're being honest, Bailey told me not to say this earlier, but I have to. He's been slacking on some, video editing.
Wow.
Sometimes you just got to throw him under the bus. You got to throw him right under the bus.
Well, I do want to commend.
Big Dog never watches all the way through anyway. He won't hear that.
He won't.
Unless he's on. He gets on and watches his parts.
Oh, yeah. He'll rewatch his parts all day long.
Oh, yeah.
He'll promote his episodes all day long. But if it's us with somebody else,
oh my God,
no shot. But yeah,
he's a star.
Want to commend the Brahmas on a heck of a season. Picked to finish last all the way to the championship. Unfortunately, didn't get it done. Well, we've got a few other things here with only 15 minutes to go. We'll just go through. These are just kind of fun little topics I looked at. We saw Tom Brady in that UFL championship game made his broadcasting debut in the first half. We know he will be on, I think his first game is like an actual NFL game. I don't think he's doing preseason, but did you get to hear any of it? I actually didn't hear any of it.
No.
Because that was so dumb by the UFL. They put the fucking championship at the same time as the end of the U.S. Open.
Yeah, just played at night. What does it matter?
So dumb. Put it at 7 o'clock. I mean, fuck. That was so stupid. But we do have the Olympic trials are on this week. I was watching some swimming. If you have Peacock, if you subscribe to the free trial, forgot to cancel, or subscribe for a month and forgot to cancel like the rest of us, and you're stuck with Peacock every month now, you can go rewatch on there. I would suggest going to rewatch the table tennis semifinals and finals. I was watching it last night. Phenomenal commentating. I would love to know.
If you had us talking about table tennis on your bingo card, you're a winner.
I literally watched it last night, and it was so funny. Like, I'm curious what the lead commentator, he is clearly like a ping pong expert and like a commentator. So like, I'm curious. Is like, that's his job. Is that his job? Does he consistently call ping pong games? And if so, do you make a living?
No. He has a day job, and please don't call it ping pong. It's table tennis. It's very serious to these guys.
Sorry.
You're not allowed to call that shit ping pong.
It's
table tennis pros. But that's hilarious that you're actually watching that.
It was
they're
Yang.
actually electric to watch when they get going. Some of those rallies can be pretty crazy. You're like, what the fuck are they getting those back? I mean, probably the ones I've seen though, scrolling through, you know how you just get crazy things every time, are like the greatest points where the guys like back behind the barrier hitting them. But
I will also say I noticed that, obviously the best players are from like China, and
Chinese take it very seriously.
They do take it very seriously. And so watching them play, the Americans, there is a little bit, at least from what I've seen, and again, it might be the same deal where like, okay, I've only seen like the best points, but I feel like when I watch the Olympics and I watch table tennis, which I do watch, that those points are pretty damn good. And like, these guys are phenomenal, don't get me wrong, but it seems like a little bit lower level than like the Chinese level. Like, I don't think the Americans are ever fucking placing in table tennis, but
it would be a pretty big upset.
What
like
the fuck do I know?
Us over the Soviets in hockey. Oh, since we're talking Olympics,
anything you want. Floor is yours.
Beth Leachman from Bernie. She's a sophomore. She made the Olympic trials.
Did she really?
A sophomore. She shattered, I think, the girls' record in the 3,200 and the.
Oh, that's the cross country runner who's
she
super,
runs the 32. Yeah,
I've seen.
So
she was like the Gatorade athlete of the year or something.
Her times, I think, are not. I don't think, but keep in mind she's like 16 years old, obviously. So I don't think her times are quite good enough. They're saying this year to get her in the Olympics, but it could be close if she runs a big race. Also, shout out my niece Presley. She was at the Nike Nationals in Eugene this week running, and she got, I think, 4th in her age group in the 400 and 5th in the 800, and that's like a national meet of like all the best runners. So
that's impressive.
She's pretty fucking fast.
That's actually very impressive.
Yeah. So Bernie's got a lot of good runners, but yeah, this Elizabeth Leachman girl's insane. So I don't know if she's gonna end up qualifying for the Olympics, but we'll see.
I was going to say, I had a topic on here before I go to that. Sorry. I'll bring up one more point. Did you see the that guy from the Chiefs who got in trouble again.
Bugs?
Yes, Bugs.
Bugs.
Is it Isaiah Bugs?
Yeah.
He basically, so.
I mean, cut off a toe. Like Big Lebowski is like, fucking amateurs, man.
give
You
up
need
a
a toe. You need a toe. I'll get you a toe. I get the same nail polish on it. Just give me 24 hours.
I would not cut off anything, for a Spurs or Cowboys or Longhorns championship. I would do some crazy shit, but I would not do that. But Bailey is that diehard, and so that is impressive. But we have a couple games. Are they tonight? Yeah, we've got Florida State and North Carolina actually going to start here right as we finish the podcast. And then we've got Kentucky and Florida. The winner of Florida State, North Carolina will take on Tennessee. The winner of Kentucky, Florida will take on A&M. And then they have to win. Whoever wins those two games will have to win 2 times, right, against Tennessee and A&M. This is double elimination. Do you think which of the teams, Tennessee or A&M, is more likely to not get to the College World Series now, only being 1 win away?
I think they'll both get there, but I'd say A&M's the more likely.
To not get there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they should have lost. Again, bad beat for me again. I had Florida to beat A&M and fucking hit a home run in the top of the 9th inning to go up by 1, and they were robbed at the fence. So it very easily could be Florida in this position or Kentucky, and A&M's back. So also A&M's got a number of injuries. They lost Montgomery, their best hitter, who's like a first-round draft pick. They lost their best pitcher, I believe, in that super regional. So could go either way, but yeah. I
guess I got to cheer. I never thought I would say this. I guess I got to cheer for the Aggies so Bailey doesn't kill himself. We'll be down a producer if Tennessee wins.
If it's A&M and Tennessee, I'll root for the Aggies. But
if it's anybody
I'm
else,
not rooting for them to get there. I want Florida or Kentucky to get there.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I have to root against the Aggies.
That.
Okay, let's see. What else we got? Oh, man. Brutal. Our brahmas fell just short. When I say just short, I mean they got to the championship game. The game wasn't close whatsoever. Now,
I don't know what was going on with the boys. I don't know. They came out flat. Don't know what happened, but
they didn't score, did they?
I don't know. It was ugly.
Yeah, they did.
Garbers is. I mean, like I said,
the slide.
I mean. Yeah, I forgot. The slide. They're down. His running back just fucking laying into him was
McFarland,
awesome.
He was losing his mind, dude.
Jeremiah was like, oh, man. McFarland, he's a guy that should be talking shit because he runs hard. And he's like, you just slid on 3rd and 1. Like, come on,
there wasn't anyone
near him. It's a championship game, bro. Garbers is supposed to be a running quarterback, but this is how fucking delusional that guy is. He, thinks he's going to be in a camp somewhere.
Oh, yeah, he's delusional.
He's like, I got to slide and protect myself. It's a 16-point game. Like, I'm going to get down and protect this body. Like, dude.
And they pulled him.
You're not going anywhere, buddy.
And they pulled him.
Yeah, and put it
which I think was I think the fact that the game was over at that point was the right call, just to send the message to your team, like, we're not going to allow somebody to, because he only got pulled because he slid. I don't think there was any other reason. I think he got pulled because he slid there.
He was terrible anyway.
And then it was a terrible play call.
They just don't throw the ball down the field. It's fucking, I mean,
it was funny.
Garbers had 17 completions for 105 yards.
Yeah,
I don't even know how that's possible. You don't have, they're all 5-yard routes, 6-yard routes.
Yeah, their screen passes are out routes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Then they put Dormandy in. Dormandy actually took him down the field, and I told my dad when he came in, I was like, he's going to get sacked 3 times this drive. And I know he got sacked at least twice, including
one where he fell over himself.
Yeah, where he tried to backpedal 25 yards and fell on himself, and we were on the 1-yard line, and they didn't score a touchdown because of that. I mean, he's so bad. He's the worst quarterback I've ever seen. He really is. He makes, fucking A.J. McCarron look like an NFL quarterback.
Well, first of all, Big Dog has already said A.J. McCarron is an NFL quarterback.
Oh, yeah. He was as a backup.
Also, folks, don't you worry at home. Big Dog will be back very soon. He wanted me to relay the message. He's got all kinds of stuff cooked up. If we're being honest, Bailey told me not to say this earlier, but I have to. He's been slacking on some, video editing.
Wow.
Sometimes you just got to throw him under the bus. You got to throw him right under the bus.
Well, I do want to commend.
Big Dog never watches all the way through anyway. He won't hear that.
He won't.
Unless he's on. He gets on and watches his parts.
Oh, yeah. He'll rewatch his parts all day long.
Oh, yeah.
He'll promote his episodes all day long. But if it's us with somebody else,
oh, my God,
no shot. But, yeah.
He's a star.
Want to commend the Brahmas on a heck of a season. Picked to finish last all the way to the championship.
Season.
Unfortunately, didn't get it done. Well, we've got a few other things here with only 15 minutes to go. We'll just go through. These are just kind of fun little topics I looked at. We saw Tom Brady in that UFL championship game made his broadcasting debut in the first half. We know he will be on. I think his first game is like an actual NFL game. I don't think he's doing preseason, but did you get to hear any of it? I actually didn't hear any of it.
No,
because that was so dumb by the UFL. They put the fucking championship at the same time as the end of the U.S. Open.
Get it. Yeah, just played it at night. What does it matter?
So dumb. Put it at 7:00. I mean, fuck. That was so stupid. But we do have the Olympic trials are on this week. I was watching some swimming. If you have Peacock, if you subscribe to the free trial, forgot to cancel or subscribe for a month and forgot to cancel like the rest of us, and you're stuck with Peacock every month now, you can go rewatch on there. I would suggest going to rewatch the table tennis semifinals and finals. I was watching it last night. Phenomenal commentating. I would love to know.
If you had us talking about table tennis on your bingo card, you're a winner.
I literally watched it last night, and it was so funny. Like, I'm curious what the lead commentator, he is clearly like a ping pong expert and like a commentator. So like, I'm curious. It's like, that's his job. Is that his job? Does he consistently call ping pong games? And if so, do you make a living?
No. He has a day job, and please don't call it ping pong. It's table tennis. It's very serious to these guys.
Sorry.
You're not allowed to call that shit ping pong.
It's
table tennis pros. But that's hilarious that you're actually watching that. Yeah, that's
it was.
They're actually electric to watch when they get going. Some of those rallies can be pretty crazy. You're like, how the fuck are they getting those back? I mean, probably the ones I've seen though, scrolling through, you know how you just get crazy things every time, are like the greatest points where the guys like back behind the barrier hitting them. But
I will also say I noticed that, obviously the best players are from like China, and
Chinese take it very seriously.
They do take it very seriously. And so watching them play, the Americans, there is a little bit, at least from what I've seen, and again, it might be the same deal where like, okay, I've only seen like the best points, but I feel like when I watch the Olympics and I watch table tennis, which I do watch, that those points are pretty damn good. And like, these guys are phenomenal, don't get me wrong, but it seems like a little bit lower level than like the Chinese level. Like, I don't think the Americans are ever fucking placing in table tennis, but
it would be a pretty big upset.
What
like
the fuck do I know?
Us over the Soviets in hockey. Oh, since we're talking Olympics,
anything you want. Floor is yours.
Beth Leachman from Bernie. She's a sophomore. She made the Olympic trials.
Did she really?
A sophomore. She shattered, I think, the girls' record in the 3,200 and the.
That's the cross country runner who's like
she
super,
runs the 32. Yeah,
I've seen.
So
she was like the Gatorade athlete of the year or something.
Her times, I think, are not. I don't think, but keep in mind she's like 16 years old, obviously. So I don't think her times are quite good enough. They're saying this year to get her in the Olympics, but it could be close if she runs a big race. Also, shout out my niece Presley. She was at the Nike Nationals in Eugene this week running, and she got, I think, 4th in her age group in the 400 and 5th in the 800, and that's like a national meet of like all the best runners. So
that's impressive.
She's pretty fucking fast.
That's actually very impressive.
Yeah, so Bernie's got a lot of good runners. But yeah, this Elizabeth Leachman girl's insane. So I don't know if she's going to end up qualifying for the Olympics, but we'll see.
I was going to say, they were saying, and a lot of people called it and defended this, that the Krispy Kreme glazed donut, specifically hot off the press when the sign's up and the lights on, is the best glazed donut. Do you agree with that? Do you think Krispy Kreme has the best glazed donut?
Man, when it comes like hot right up. But here's the argument I have with that is every other donut place, like, say Shipley's, like if you got a glaze that was hot right off, it'd probably be just as good.
Yeah.
But Krispy Kreme to me seems like the one's like, hey, I want 12 hot ones right now in the deal. So that's why it gets defended as easily the number one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think any of the hot donuts are probably obviously way better than the ones that have cooled. But yeah, they do a good job of being, that's like their pitch. They sell it. You walk in there, they give you one for free.
Yeah.
And you order a bunch of stuff. So.
Yeah. I was curious because to me, they're different. Like, I don't know. Is Shipley's is that a national chain? I don't know if
I think it's a Texas chain.
Okay, well, Texas.
I think they
chain,
started in Houston.
Well, to me, Shipley's and Krispy Kreme are just totally different styles.
They're different. Yeah.
Krispy Kreme is like thinner, smaller. Shipley's is fluffier, and you can like on Krispy Kreme, the glaze, if you don't like before you touch it, the glaze is like perfect. There's just like a perfect level of glaze, whereas on the Shipley's one, it's like flaky and breaking off.
They're just different. They're both
phenomenal.
different.
I was just curious your take there on that.
God bless everybody here for not eating jelly-filled donuts. If you eat jelly-filled donuts, fuck you. All right. It's like that reminds me of the Talladega Nights. You don't chew big red.
That's right. Yeah. So if you don't like Krispy Kreme, fuck you. And if you do like Krispy Kreme, make sure to comment below and let us know that you like Krispy Kreme or you like Shipley's or whatever donuts
and if
you like.
You want to embarrass yourself in the comments, say you like jelly donuts.
Yep.
I can tell you this. I know Big Dog is he's a glazed guy.
Oh, he's definitely a glazed guy. He can't have any donuts though.
Oh, please.
And
he'll be back soon, folks. Just don't you? He's got a lot of things lined up.
I'm gonna allow
it. I had to plug it. We got to pay the bills around here, and we don't have our Jeff Davis sponsorship yet.
I forgot Jeff Davis. Our
444 This fours. The fours are with you.
And if you're injured in an auto,
if you're injured in anything, call Jeff. It's that simple. He'll get it all taken care for you. Yeah,
Thank
please.
you for pitching for me.
Please.
And the number, if you need it, just remember, call the fours. 444-4444. All right. So thanks to Jeff Davis for not being a sponsor, but we're trying to get.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Jeff, we love you.
Jeff.
We're big fans. Your nephew's one of my best friends, and I think this would be a great match. Just saying. Okay, we got some other big sponsorships in the works right now.
Unless he likes jelly donuts, and then we might have to reconsider a sponsor.
Oh, please. He's a glazed donut guy for sure.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Now, make sure to also comment below and let us know what your favorite or worst fantasy football punishment is.
That'd be good. I'd like to see those ideas.
Yeah, I'm curious. So comment that below. Make sure to like and subscribe to this video, or like this video, subscribe to the channel. Check out our other content. And we will have some sort of little interview with Will, our buddy, coming up soon, which will be fun. Turner's looking forward to that.
Talk about lunatics.
Shout out
William.
Shout out to Will. Shout out to Steven Elder, who went and played. I'm going to play in the WSOP in a couple weeks. Elder was there last week. He played and cashed in the $300 Gladiator. I think he was up there in chips. He finished like 11th in his flight, which is like in his little day of because they have like 4 day ones.
Nice.
In chips, and he played really good and cashed up there at the $300 Gladiator. So the guy, oddly enough, and we'll get out of here, the guy who won was at his table. Remember, we were sitting there. He was down to 8 big blinds on day 2 at the beginning and tripled up like 3 times. He ended up winning the whole thing and won $500,000. Crazy.
Damn, $500,000.
Yeah, or $450 or something. Yeah, there was nice. 12,000 entries into that thing. It's crazy because you could rebuy so many times.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for watching this video, and make sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out our podcast on all the other podcast platforms if you don't like video, Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those good things. Thanks for all your support. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Call the fours. Support Zito's. Support San Antonio local businesses, and we will catch you guys next week.